All right. It's 5:33 p.m. on the 13th of December. Happy Wednesday the 13th. And we'll call the Anchorage Stream Academy APC meeting to order. Want to start with our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we gather here today on the traditional lands of the Dena'ina people of Upper Cook Inlet for thousands of years. The Dena'ina people have been and continue to be the stewards of this land. ASD is committed to diversity and inclusion, and it is with honor and respect that we recognize all Indigenous people who have lived and learned in our community before us and continue to do so. The purpose of our APC is to ensure the reality of our stream aligns with the vision, which is to empower students to be involved learners, critical thinkers, and engaged citizens who are inspired by our natural world. Our working agreements are equity of voice, and that includes our finger protocol, which Sylvia is demonstrating at the moment. If you want to speak, please raise your finger. And as Adam is proving, seeing that there's already one, when he wants to speak next in line, he adds the number two and so forth. And we will call and pay attention. Sylvia, you were just demonstrating, right? Or do you have something? Okay. Respectful use of technology, especially while we're Zooming. It is super easy to look at that email that just binged it or tinged at you or something else that happened. So please be present and aware and working. We're committed to our work. We're open to a variety of perspectives. Every voice, every perspective is value to this organization and to STrEAM, and everyone comes with positive intent for sharing and learning and growing. We try to be respectful of our time and not have the session drag on inappropriately, but appropriate questions, appropriate timing, and following Robert Rules of Order. And then as appropriate, if we need to put something on a working session in a future meeting or something to that effect, we will happily do so as we move forward. Sylvia, thank you so very much and being our superstar and hero today and taking minutes. Would you like to do roll call or would you like for me to do it and just literally write stuff down? How would you like?
I can do
How
it.
can we help the superhero?
You guys are funny. Matt Wattendorf, teacher rep.
Here.
Martha Lajewski.
Present.
Kimberly Westfall.
I'm here.
Leah Godoy.
I'm here.
We've recognized that Jen Mickelson is absent. Grace Coles.
Here.
Jeff Earl is present. Sharon Wilson.
Here.
And Andernell Brown is an excused absence tonight as she is out of the country.
All right. Hearing that we have a quorum, can I have a motion for the consent agenda and the previous meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes. That would be November.
Can you include the consent agenda?
Oh, do we have to do them together or separate?
We can do either separate or together, but
Okay, I'll amend my motion to approve November's minutes and the agenda for December.
And I'll second it.
by voice vote, all approve, say aye.
Point of order.
Aye.
I'm sorry. Point of order. I can't take minutes if I don't know who's talking. Can you say your name when you say seconded?
Oh,
Sure.
this Sharon Wilson.
And this is Jeff. I asking for a vote by voice. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Do we have to do a roll call vote on Zoom?
But even for a consent agenda or like for this item, if all in favor, if there's, I thought if it's a unanimous approval, then we can go forward without a roll call. If there's a disagreement, then we do roll call. Am I correct? I see thumbs, shaking heads, but someone getting a book. I don't know. No one's correcting me, so I'm gonna.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I was taking something out of the oven. Yes, it's true. If no one is there's no dissenting, so that's how you should ask it. Is there anyone
Okay.
dissenting?
Okay. With no anyone dissent? No dissent. Motion unanimously approves. Um, and Adam, I will turn it over to you for any guests or persons to be heard public testimony.
We have nobody signed up to give public testimony or persons to be heard tonight.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much. I then Adam will roll right into you for principal's report.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Matt, do you prefer Matt or Matthew? Uh, just giving you a warning, you're up next.
Are you guys seeing my principal report displayed on the screen? Okay, good. Can somebody, how long did we give me?
You have
What-
20 minutes, so till the top of the hour, 6.
I'd like to I'm gonna shorten that up and try to be done in 15 at the most. Will somebody give me 15 minutes and give me like a 2-minute warning?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. I won't read the whole report. For the members that are new, I send this out prior to each meeting. I try not to send it out the day of, like today. I'm sorry. I try to send it the Friday before, but I send this out prior to the meeting so that you all have an opportunity to read over it. And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you guys because it's kind of a time waste. But I just go through and give some highlights. So this is something that I've been doing that's new this year, is trying to give more data to our board at each meeting. And so last time I gave this same demographic data, I believe, and I was asked by the board to include the district for reference, for comparison. So I actually also added in charters. So I thought this data was interesting when I pulled it. You can see these first 2 columns are STrEAM Academy, the numbers, and then the percentages. This third sort of orange column is all charter schools in ASD. And then the last column is all students in ASD. So, a couple things that jumped out at me were, we talk about our boy-girl imbalance every year and our efforts to correct that. It's interesting to see that neither the district or as a whole or charter schools have that problem. So it's definitely a STrEAM problem. It's definitely our mission and vision just attracts boys more than girls. So it's something we have to I have to continue to work on and try to balance out. I was surprised to see our Alaska Native American Indian numbers lower, at 6% lower than other charters in the district. That stood out to me. But on the flip side, our students who identify as multi-ethnic at 23%, it's a lot higher than charters or ASD as a whole. So there could be, it could be that a lot of our students who are Alaska Native American Indian are identifying as multi-ethnic. So we're a small sample size, keep in mind, 176 kids compared to almost 10,000. Otherwise, a lot of our demographics were really close to other charters in the rest of the district. The special ed numbers are always important to me, and just the overall diversity. And you can see our special ed percentage is a little higher than charters as a whole and the district as a whole, and that I think is a good thing. The knock on charters sort of big picture can be that they're not inclusive. And so that it's always been nice for me to say, nope, not us. We are definitely inclusive. So that's the demographic data I wanted to share. Our attendance rate right now is overall at 92%. And then percentage of students who are coming 90% of the time or better, 68% of our kids are here 90% of the time or more. So fairly, and we are actively working on the kids that aren't coming as much. Overall, we have really strong attendance. These are our current enrollment numbers. They've dropped a little bit since beginning of the year, and then since count, that's normal. We tend to not take a lot of new kids during the year unless we really feel it's a strong, both a great fit and a strong hardship case. You know, outside of the lottery, we don't have to take kids. So we have had a couple of kids move and, you know, switch and so forth, but not a lot. We're down 3 students from count, I think. Still over what we projected. And remember, we have a waiting list at all 3 grade levels. So if we wanted those numbers to be higher, those numbers would be higher. But budget, finance, and facilities section, we just concluded the OASIS, which is the student count numbers for this current fiscal year that we're in. And the adjustment is about $80,000 in our favor because we were over. Most charter schools saw a significant adjustment the other way. Most charter schools saw that they owed the district a lot of money in this OASIS count. So for perspective, we're one of, I think, do you remember, Sylvia? I think it was one of 3 charters, only 3 charters that saw that the district owed more money to. And some of the charters, it was a very large sum of money that they had to pay back. So again, I'm always proud of and always emphasizing our fiscal responsibility. Our fiscal management is the best, honestly, in terms of charters in the district, I feel, and there's plenty of evidence for that. This is another thing we're doing new this year. Just a response to some questions about, you know, kind of that smaller picture, micro picture of how we're spending, you know, how we're spending funds throughout the year. Sylvia has been updating this for me so you can see what we've spent on different items in the year-to-date expenditures. And then this is another piece of data that board asked for, how many free lunches we're handing out. For our next fiscal year, the FY25 budget, we went over that. I introduced the budget and the cuts we need to make and sort of the financial situation we're in at our last meeting, and carried that forward and have a budget prepared for you to approve. And we'll get into that at a separate part of the agenda tonight. I'm happy to say we have settled, pending your approval. I have completed negotiations with Wayland on our lease. I feel like it's a good lease agreement. And Dave Whiting, the director of purchasing, has worked with me throughout the entire process. And Dave is, you know, he does all purchasing, all leases for the entire school district. So he's definitely the authority on this, and he feels really good about the lease agreement. Wayland came into these negotiations asking for a 7% increase in what we pay because they wanted to start at 7 and possibly higher because they, you know, rightfully so, you know, inflation. We haven't raised our lease rate in at least 3 years. Was it 3? Yeah, 3 years. And you guys all know what inflation's done since then. And I was able to negotiate them down to 4% from 7%. And I also, super important that I negotiated that rate be held harmless for 3 years. So we'll be locked into the new rate without an increase for the next 3 years. We were able to finally convince them to give us the additional classroom I've been after, the one right next to my office and Sylvia's, right next to the Fab Lab, room 105. We need that. We're short one classroom right now. We have a teacher splitting a room with another teacher and then actually hosting her PE classes out of the auditorium, which is not ideal or how we want to do it. So we will that'll be good. This will be an action item in January. I'll bring the lease to the meeting in January for your approval, and then it'll need Jeff's signature to be official. And then the lease will begin FY25. So we're looking at a little under $40,000 increase. Our lease is $290 something right now, and we're looking at a $330,000 lease for next year. So we'll have to make that adjustment, and this budget tonight doesn't reflect that because this isn't final. So we'll make that budget adjustment and have to pull funds to even that out for next year, but that's not an issue and it's down the road. Just Wayland has done a really good job this year. The parking lots have been plowed really consistently. We haven't had an issue with that like we have in the past. And they are setting up right now with contractors to do a drywall repair and painting throughout the whole building. So we're really excited about that. You can see Miss Hayden added, from discipline, classroom management, restorative practices. I've asked her to give you an update in that realm each time, and I'm gonna, let you read that when you have time. I really want to draw your attention. I won't read it, but Miss Ollendorf has done an incredible job with our math intervention and support program this year. We're doing it sort of a 3-tiered approach. She does math pullouts for additional math support for students who need support, period 6 and 7 in her schedule. The second tier is she's doing the after school math club on Wednesdays, and she's got 20 students coming every Wednesday for math support. And then the third tier of that is for the first time, we've started doing math during advisory. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, students who are eligible to get that support, but invited to get that support, go from their advisory to her and work on math during advisory. And so I invite you to read through. She wrote this summary up for me because I wanted to make sure you guys had that. How am I doing on time?
You have another 4 minutes. 5 minutes, actually.
Fantastic. I think that's it. I think I will wrap up there and just invite time for questions before we move on.
Do we have anyone with any questions? Not seeing anyone in the Zoom. Adam, thank you for the report. Good as always. One last go back. Anyone have any questions? Not seeing any. Okay. Matt, welcome. Do you prefer Matthew or Matt?
Both are good. I feel like this is a more professional setting. I can be a Matthew.
Alright.
I go by both. Great.
My-
I think I can just start sharing my screen. Is that we're good to go?
Sure.
Sweet. Let's start here.
And actually, Jen is excused, right? Jen's not here. Jen a heads up that she was next, but okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut someone off. I was just
Nope.
fired
Please
up.
go ahead.
All right, great. So welcome to our November teacher update. So we'll start with, my near and dear to my heart, 6th grade. So I can always, I'll be a little bit better at answering questions about 6th grade things than 7th and 8th, just because that's what I teach. So we'll be a little bit more in depth also on 6th grade. So here we go. In science, we had a great moment to leverage kind of, what's happening around students, because students came back from 4 days out of the school building with questions about why we were out of the building and why it snowed so much if it's just November. And that's a great talking point for students to get them engaged. So we started asking questions about why we had so much snow. When does snow get dangerous? Why did it happen in November? And we ended up keying in on this idea of El Nino, and maybe that all of this snow is due to El Nino. So we've been looking a lot at ocean currents, looking at what drives our ocean currents and what can cause them to change. So it's been fun. We've got to do a lot of cool experiments, a lot of engagement there. In STEM, we have basically wrapped up our first Lego robotics competitions, kind of the first round where all of our 6th graders are tasked with solving these problems. Kind of our broad sweep, get all of students involved. Everyone learns to code their robots. Everyone learns to build. Everyone learns a couple of different engineering strategies. And then in 3rd quarter, we'll have just a select group of students who opt in, not like, we're having cuts or anything, but we'll open that up to the school as for attending a competition in the spring. So that was very exciting. Our final races are this week, so we'll see who our ultimate winner is. In social studies, we had 2 projects, and this was an impressive period of time for us because we had Emily and Martha kind of working hand in hand. Emily at a distance while she was completing a internship over at Romig with this myth project. So all of the students have been creating their own myths, definitely an in-depth long-term project that they are all going to get to spend an entire half of the day basically sharing with each other. So they're all very excited to pass that on to each other. And then also there's a board game project that they've been working on where students create, extend upon the project that they did Q1, where they created a fictional civilization, and now they're incorporating financial literacy. So a lot of games that are kind of spin-offs of Monopoly and that kind of thing. So here we have some pictures of it, different game boards, a lot of crafting with model magic and clay and that kind of thing. So it's been very fun. Lots of students want to show me their work at the beginning of science every day, and it's a little bit of a challenge getting them back in, but I think that's a good sign for engagement. And then to wrap up for 6th grade in projects, we have a couple of different things going on. We have a group of students that were looking at bark beetle mitigation and decided to build some woodpecker houses that are going up this week. They were actually supposed to go up today, but we sadly did not have the time because we were not at the school building today. So that's one component of a kind of 3-part process to trying to think about how we could be stewards of Muldoon Park. Another part that we looked at, and this is all student work, so excuse kind of the, any weirdness with our labels and things like that. This is a long-term, meaning 3-week student sample. They're growing different native flowers in captivity in Dixie cups under a grow light and everything. And we changed one variable, which is our soil mixtures. So we had garden soil and native soil, and these plots are entirely student made. So this is really showing off what students have managed to accomplish in tech apps, because I think this is kind of impressive for a 6th grader to be able to do pretty much on their own. And we have another one where they change the amount of water. Again, excuse our first drafts of our x-axis here, but I think it's going to show that students are really starting to get an understanding of experimental design, data analysis, that kind of thing. Great. We will move on, trying to keep it in a reasonable time here because we're still in 6th grade. Tech apps, all of the students created virtual field trips that they got to share with their peers, take them around the world in Google Earth, and they're now wrapping up. Actually, it's going to get pushed a little bit because of our snow day, but they're creating podcasts with their peers. So very excited to listen in on those. That's going to be part of our showcase right at the end of the quarter, which is next week. Great. That wraps up 6th grade. And we can talk a little bit about our upper classes, 7th and 8th. So 7th, if you remember from our October update, Macy, the squid, it's not a squid, octopus, had gone missing. And there are conflicting bits of evidence that students have been analyzing. So they've done handwriting analysis, fingerprint analysis, PCR, so all kinds of different kinds of data incorporated, I guess we'll call it, sleuthing. And there are some students that have decided they have already, it's a done deal, and they're out in the halls shouting it as loud as they possibly can. And it's very exciting, very engaged, very cool to see students that maybe, I think this is like exactly what STrEAM kind of lends itself towards, is a lot of these concepts. You look at PCR and gel electrophoresis, those things are like in a bio classroom, your textbook, like cookbook lab. It's like something you do once and then you go to college and you're like, oh yeah, I squirted, some blue dye into something once. But now we have students that are, instead of just saying, oh yeah, like I saw some blue lines change places, they actually have that context and they're using it to make conclusions about who's doing what and what that means in the big grand scheme of things, and identifying culprits and all of that. So very cool project. I'm excited to see how it wraps up in this next week. 8th grade, their projects they're actually headed to West High Pool to test some cardboard boats. They're gonna be, I think that was actually supposed to happen today. I could be wrong. So that's gonna have to get pushed, which is probably part of the reason we didn't get a lot of photo updates, because it didn't actually happen this week. We're all very excited to add it. So a lot of working with native materials, a lot of thinking about pressure and force and how to disperse that, and a lot of struggling with group work and figuring out how to work in a group to make these things effectively. So those are our 3 grades, our update. I flew through that, so this is a great time. If you have any questions about our projects or curriculum, especially science and STEM, I'm happy to take those now.
I can't see everybody.
Oh, I guess I missed health. But
Yeah, no, you have plenty of time.
health, actually, we do have a big update in health that I thought was really cool. We students went out snowshoeing, which the 6th graders absolutely loved. They were raving about it all week. And I think it's also another kind of highlight of STrEAM is when I think about a gym class in middle school, it's one of those classes that can really lend itself only towards kids that like cooperative athletic games, sports specifically. And we think about a lot of our selling points at STrEAM as, we have lots of science opportunities and lots of STEM opportunities, but really we also cater towards a group of students that maybe wouldn't be quite as successful in PE because it doesn't always lend itself towards, this experiential education that we offer. And so I think this is also a time where we really do provide something that's unique from a traditional environment, which is, students getting to go snowshoeing, and that's their form of learning, like, this is how I can take care of my body and exercise and find like a way to stay healthy, especially in the winter, that maybe is not as common in every other school. Cool. Sorry, that's my actual update. Now I'm done. If somebody has any questions.
Are there any questions? Matthew, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great presentation. Look forward to seeing the boat race photos or the boat.
I know, I'm sorry. Hopefully they come in quickly. We'll have them in January.
Yes, Adam.
So just a quick update on that. The boat testing was supposed to be at the West High Pool today. So yeah, it got postponed. We are working on rescheduling it for next Wednesday if possible. We're still trying to get that to happen.
Starting to feel like the boat race is cursed because last year it happened that it turned into sled races. So
yep, it's 2 years in a row.
All on the boat race day.
Sorry, I didn't realize this was such a touchy subject. Could have found a different 8th grade update to give you guys, but that one is exciting me. So,
Sylvie, did you have your finger up? No? Okay. Yeah, no, I don't think it's touchy, but it's just that time of year in Alaska. And so we'll see what happens. It'll become its own tradition. So, without having Jen, and does anyone else have any questions or follow-up? No? Thank you, Matthew, and welcome to, APSC and updates. It's very much appreciated, and you did a great job. And
thank you, appreciate it.
The next is action items, election of officers, and approval of budget. So, Adam, I don't know if you want to do it in that order or do something different, but you.
Yeah, we definitely need to get our officers elected. So, I watched the school board do this and they already had the slate of officers ready and they did it as a slate. This is Martha, I see you're one, so I will turn it over to you shortly. My thoughts on this is it would be normal to, if our current chair and vice chair are willing to continue in those positions, right, then, I guess we would need to hear from either of you if you're not. And then the new officer position is the secretary position. That's probably going to take a little bit more of stepping up and moving into that spot. Martha?
I realized on the agenda up at the very top, it said swearing in new member Kim Westfall, and we skipped that.
Did I skip
Oh.
over that?
We should do that before so that she can vote on the budget.
I'm sorry, Kim. That was totally my bad. My eyes just kept going and I am so sorry. Welcome.
That's
And,
okay. I didn't vote yet on anything, so we're good.
Um, do we have a formal thing that we have to say in terms of swearing in? Adam,
So
Sylvia, anybody? I don't have anything that was given to me in the past, so I don't know if
there
there's
is,
a formal oath.
there is the form that has to be signed. Did you get that already, Kim?
I did. I signed it.
Sylvia, is there anything else, or do we just say, you agree to the seat and then welcome new member?
You're still muted, sorry.
Sorry, I thought I could hold down my space bar. Sorry about that. All I did was make a lot of spaces in the notes. Yes, Adam, you are correct. As long as she's signed the ethics agreement, and then all we have to do is confirm that and thank her and welcome her.
So we confirm that you've signed the papers. You just did that. Welcome to APSC. Kuna Matata.
Thank you.
And I say that you accept, please.
I accept.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, thank you, Martha, for pointing out that injustice, and it's been solved. And now down to, I guess, the officers and budget. For me being chair, I will continue if you want. If someone is really interested, feel free. I'm not like bogarting the seat. So,
Can
anyone?
I
Adam?
read a little bit from Robert's Rules of Order real quick, Jeff?
Sure.
This may be helpful. Robert's Rules of Order says when you do nominations from the floor, which is how we do it, that a person may nominate himself or herself. A nomination does not need a second. A member can be nominated for more than one office. A member can't nominate more than one person for an office until everyone has had the opportunity to make nominations. Nominees don't have to leave the room when the vote's taken or votes counted. Presiding officer continues presiding, even if for some reason someone else was elected besides Jeff, he would preside over the rest of the meeting still. A member can decline the nomination during the nomination process. After each nomination, the president repeats the name for the assemblies. For example, president would say, somebody's nominated for president. Are there any further nominations? If there aren't any further nominations, the board can vote. So Jeff and Martha are willing to continue in their seats. I would suggest that the board start there, and to make it less awkward for them, it'd be nice if someone else made those nominations.
I would nominate Jeff, Earl, and Martha. What is your last name? I can't see.
Oh, Jesky.
Lojeski to maintain their current office. Is that appropriate?
I think you can do
Oh.
them together. Yeah.
Okay.
And so Jeff, you would just ask if there are any further nominations for president and vice president, and if there are not, then you can call a roll call vote.
Are there any other nominations for president and vice president? Not seeing any hands, not hearing any voices. Checking for any Zoom pauses. Not hearing anything. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote for president and vice president. As stated, Matt Wattendorf, how do you vote?
Aye.
Martha Lojeski,
Yes.
Kimberly Westfall,
Yes.
Leah Godoy,
Yes.
Grace Coles,
Yes.
Jeff Earl,
Yes.
Sharon Wilson.
Yes.
Member Andrew Brown and member Jen Mickelson are absent, therefore it is a unanimous vote.
Thank you very much. Now moving to secretary. Do we have any nominations, self or for other, for secretary? Adam?
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
I would suggest, if anyone is interested and willing to do this job, please let us know that. And then, because I don't think people are clamoring for it. If you are willing to do it, then my guess is one of your colleagues will immediately nominate you for it. So please let us know if you're willing to take this job. Sylvia will help you a lot with the secretary job. We've moved to action minutes after the last training we did. I've sent a couple emails on that, so they're pretty straightforward, that you don't have to write down everything everybody says. What we learned is really you just write down actions, nominations, or seconds, just really basic stuff. And Sylvia provides you a form to fill all that in. So.
Kim?
Is that, and my question is that the full description of the duties, or is there anything else that the secretary does?
That's pretty much it. So at the end of the meeting, you kind of finalize the minutes. You send them to Sylvia and she posts them for the next meeting on our webpage. And then we do the next vote. If for some reason there was an error, then the group might send it back for a quick addition or a change, and then back submitted for approval. That really is about it. It is pretty easy, and we're trying to make it easier.
Sounds like Sylvia maintains the system of record and gets everything filed correctly. Is that right?
That's Sylvia.
Yeah, that's correct. In order to make your guys' life easier, because it has to be posted, it has to be available for anyone to read at any time. So we keep a living document on our website with those minutes. And so after you guys approve the agenda and the minutes, I read that in your minutes, and then I go back into the document and then I change it from draft to permanent. I do all that for you. So the secretary doesn't do that. Really, the only thing the secretary does is take the form that is prepared, which is it's prepared in line with the agenda every month, and you just log on to that, take the minutes, and then email me when it's done. Because it's in a Google Drive, you don't have to send them to me. They're already there. It's already a shared document.
Nice. If you all wouldn't mind a newbie being the secretary, I would be willing to do it.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, I would love for you to do it.
I,
Well, I
I
hear you.
think I heard Miss Wilson nominate Kim Westfall for the
Yes.
secretary position. It's
Thank you
and,
for that honor.
and I've just heard her accept the position.
Yes.
And now a roll call vote will be had.
Okay, sorry, Matt Wattendorf,
Yeah, or yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Kimberly,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sharon.
Yes.
Okay, with member Andrew Nell Brown and member Jen Mickelson absent, we have successfully and 100% gotten ourselves a secretary.
Thank you so very much. It really is probably the most important job on the APSC, in all honesty. And it's the most consistent. It's the one most people kind of go, oh, okay. But it 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 is very appreciated by everybody, and no one will make your job hard. So thank you very much for stepping up. Appreciate it. Um, I actually didn't see it in the minutes either, but since I was given or pointed out that we had skipped over swearing in Kim a minute ago, Adam or Sylvia, do we need to acknowledge the fact that Aaron has resigned? That wasn't really on the agenda either.
I think it is.
Sorry, it's
It's
under
an
non-action
N.
items.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's further down, non-action. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself then. All right, well, Adam, move to the budget.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna give a quick recap, if that's okay with you, Chair Earl. Just a quick recap of what we went over in November. So in November, I shared with the board that schools, anchored schools in school district are falling off a fiscal cliff. And so if you were watching the news, ASD came out with their first round of budget proposals, and they're looking at like a $90 million shortfall. So I knew that was coming based on what charter schools are facing because we're on a different budget timeline. Ours is not as bad as a lot of them are, but remember, we have been supplementing our budget for 3 years with COVID relief funds, ESSER 1 and then 2 and then 3. And this is the last year of those federal funds. They're running out. We have about $300,000 in ESSER funds supplementing our budget this year. We have been careful not to put all of that into staffing, because then you have those staff and people who have been at your school and the funding is gone. And that's painful. And charters all across the district are dealing with that right now. A charter school I'm working with and helping is cutting 5 or 6 positions out of their budget, for example. So along with supplementing our budget with federal funds for the last 3 years, funding hasn't been increased a whole lot until last year from the state, from the legislature. And then, you know, inflation costs have gone up, salaries have gone up, healthcare has gone up considerably. And our teachers just passed a new contract with a 3% increase, which is great. And they need and deserve an increase, but that increased our costs. So Sylvia and I went into this budget, building this budget, looking at $200,000-$300,000 shortfall at least. And we were able to put our heads together for several days and really whittle it down. And we got it down to a little under 50,000, but there was nowhere else to trim. That, you know, we still were about $50,000 short. So I really looked at our program and all of our options and where we were at. And what I did to balance the budget was reduced our counselor position from full-time to half-time. So we went over all this in November. Of course, I went over all this with the person in that position. Also, was able to strike a deal with another charter school, with Highland Academy, they're looking to add a counselor position. So they're willing to split the position. So if that person chose to stay in this position, they'd still be full-time. They'd be paid half by a charter and by us. So that's really the main change. Other than our budget being pretty bare bones, we pared down a lot of things. We pared down just, I don't know, Sylvia can help me out here, but we took money out of, we reduced some money from supplies, reduced some money from equipment, we reduced some money that are in our transportation budget and so on and so forth. We trimmed everything across the board as much as we could, but nothing moves the needle in public school funding except salaries and benefits. So if you look at the budget summary I sent you, we're at projected 190, which is a little high. But that also kind of helped offset some of that deficit that I projected us a little higher than I would have liked to get that number higher. So with a $2.27 million budget, salaries and benefits, salaries are about 1.3 million and benefits are about 600,000. So really the only thing that really can move the needle, it's pushing peanuts around to take $1,000 out of supplies or $1,000 out of transportation. Salaries and benefits are the only thing that really makes any significant difference. So that's where we're at tonight. That's the budget that we worked really hard to balance and put together. I want to point out this budget is not tapping into our unallocated funds. The district, full disclosure, the district opened the option to charter schools to tap into their unallocated reserve funds, and other charters are doing that. I'm cautioning them not to, or to do it as little of it as possible, because it's kicking the can down the road. If we start budgeting not just based on the current fiscal year allocation, if we start budgeting based on more than our current fiscal year allocation and taking money out of our savings, we're just pushing that problem off a couple of years, and we're still going to have to make those reductions. They're still going to hurt, but we'll make those reductions later, and then we won't have our savings. So it's not, as you know, one of the biggest things I've prided myself on for 8 years is our fiscal management, and that's not good fiscal management. That's not being good stewards of our funds, of public funds, and how we do business. So we will offset, as we always do when there's pluses and minuses, we'll offset small cost amounts from our savings as needed, because this will adjust multiple times, as I've explained. We usually adjust each fiscal year budget 5 or 6 times throughout the budget cycle, but I'm not willing to propose to you that we pass a budget with $50,000 or $100,000 out of our savings. So this is a balanced budget that touches our savings very little, protects those funds, and the only real major reduction is a reduction in that position. Before I turn it back over to the chair for discussion and a motion, Sylvia, is there anything you can think of that from all the work we did on this, that I should add, or, because you're here with me tonight and we work on this side by side?
No, sir, I think you've covered it all very well. Thank you.
All right, well then, hearing no questions, well, you can still ask questions. I'm going to turn it back over to the chair. Jeff, you're welcome to, entertain a motion to approve the budget. So you'd have a motion and then discussion, and, we can work through the discussion then, and then you can call for a vote when you're ready.
Okay. Before we go for the motion, I just want to poll the room officially. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask Adam? Not seeing or hearing any. I'm sorry, Leah, I see your lips moving. I don't know if you're trying to talk to us.
No, sorry, I'm just reading, I'm going over the budget overview that was sent over, just slightly. I did want to ask, a question. I do see for meals and food that there is a budget there. My question would be, is that for the employees or is that for the students or the teachers and students?
I think I know the answer, but Sylvia's here. She knows the answer to that. That line item, Sylvia, is that money that we used to offset the lunch program?
No, the lunch program is supported solely by your nonprofit, the Friends of STrEAM. That the line item that you see right there in the budget covers the coffee and the coffee that we get for or water that we get for the APC or the staff when they're in training. And it's not, it does not go toward students. This is all staff and volunteers and APC.
Okay, I'm gonna get with you, Sylvia, because I think that we can donate towards that as well as the student lunch that we've been doing this year. So I'll get with you, and then maybe, I mean, I know it's not very much, but that's something that I know that my company and I can put towards as well to donate towards. So
Thank you, Leah.
you're welcome.
Anybody else with any other questions? Not hearing or seeing any. Can I get someone to make a motion on to approve the budget so we can have a discussion?
I make a motion to approve the budget.
Second,
This is Kim, I second.
thank you. If do we need to do a roll call on this one, or can we just do the unanimous kind of?
I think you leave it open for discussion, any discussion first, and then we should have a roll call vote.
Oh, yes, on the actual budget roll call, but in terms of moving forward for discussion, I didn't know if we needed to do another vote or anything like that. No, okay. Discussion. Adam, thank you. I'm pretty confident that in the building of the budget for this year and going through and doing all the background and conversations, that there was probably a lot of internal struggles and trying to figure out how the best way it could be done in every shape or form. So thank you for that effort, regardless of outcome and so forth. I know it wasn't easy.
Thank you. I'll say it's the first time in 8 years we've cut any positions from our budget. We've only added staffing as we've grown and added staffing with ESSER funds. So it was one of the hardest things I've had to do, is to reduce that position. And I'm thankful that we laid the groundwork for that really well. The people who were funded out of those supplemental funds, the positions that were funded from ESSER funds, they knew. And so when I went and told the person in the position that we were reducing that position and what my plan was, their response to me was, I know you've been telling me for 3 years that, this is funded out of ESSER. And there was not anything negative or anything like that, which helped a little bit. But still, thank you for acknowledging that, Jeff, because reducing any staffing in any way is not an easy thing to do. It was not at all.
Yeah. Thoughts from anybody that they want to share? Any discussion points from anyone? Okay. Not hearing any, or seeing anyone in the Zoom. Move for a roll call vote, please, Sylvia.
Thank you. Voting to approve the budget as presented by Principal McKelkey. Matt Wattendorf, what say ye?
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Kimberly,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
With members Andrew Brown and Jen Mickelson absent, this passes unanimously. Thank you, board.
The next summary to action item minutes, Adam?
Sorry, my head is about 99% on FY25 budget, so I have to like refocus my brain for a second. Where are we at with that? We learned at our training with Alaska Association of School Boards, you can, and they recommend that we do something called action minutes. And so I've sent an email to the board a little while back. If you search your email for minutes, the word minutes, you'll see an email from me that kind of, and then tonight I actually copied and pasted some of that into my email that I sent y'all tonight that said, hey, we need someone to take minutes, and this is what the minutes look like. So I think, let me look at the agenda. Why is this on here? Oh, it's on here as an action item. That's right. So we did. So I think the reason this is on the action items is because at the last meeting, the board indicated that I think after some discussion that it should be a vote, an actual board decision to say we're going to take action item minutes at, as described by Alaska Association of School Boards, something to that effect. So I guess, same thing, motion, second, and then discussion. If you guys want to talk more about action item minutes, what that means, you can, and then decide if that's how we want to officially take minutes.
Does anybody have any questions about action item minutes? Not seeing any. I guess, can I have a motion to adopt action item minutes?
Martha will motion to adopt action item minutes from here on forward.
And Sharon will second it.
And can we have a roll call vote, please? When you're ready.
Sorry, you guys. I was typing. Motion to adopt action item minutes. Matt Wattendorf, what say ye?
Yes.
Martha,
Yes.
Kimberly,
Yes.
Leah,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Sharon,
Yes.
with members Andrew Brown and Jen Mickelson absent. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to non-action items now. Adam?
Sure. Chair Earl and I both received an email from Aaron Kirkland, who, as you know, this fall moved out of state to the state of Washington. The board expressed a desire to keep her on as long as she was willing. And we looked at our bylaws and there's nothing that said she couldn't be a board member still. So she's been on the board from the state of Washington where they moved. She emailed Chair Earl and I saying that she can't sustain that, living in a different state and trying to keep up with things. And so she regretfully stepped down and resigned her seat. We thanked her profusely. Erin was awesome. She's an awesome asset, awesome person. And her book is great, Alaska on the Go. It's all about getting kids outdoors in Alaska, which fits with our mission really nicely. So Chair Earl accepted the resignation. I guess the next topic, probably for the next meeting, that you may want to talk about and put on the agenda would be filling that seat. I believe you all can fill that seat for the remainder of the term by appointment. So if any of you know of community members who are, members of agencies or organizations that, would partner with or benefit STrEAM, if you know of anyone, fits that role, bring that name forward, encourage them to send an email to myself and I'll pass it on to the board. And if we have someone that, is interested that steps forward, you guys can vote at the January or February meeting and fill that seat. It's a community seat, not a parent seat. So like Grace Coles is on our board. She's a great example of a community seat, and she works at Cook Inlet Tribal Council for the Fab Lab, which is a business partner of ours, a grant partner of ours. And so that's an example of, one of those, how the Grace is an example of what that seat is intended for.
Martha.
Has anybody ever asked anybody from the Department of Parks and Rec to fill a community seat, just so I don't, because that's the first thing that came to my mind. And if they've already been asked, me repeating the ask would be redundant.
We've had Meredith Gutierrez works for Anchorage Parks and was on our board for a while. And actually Aaron Kirkland was also there's two arms of that. It's confusing. There's like Anchorage Parks and Rec, and then there's like the Anchorage Parks Foundation. I can't keep the two straight, but they both worked for one or the other of those. So we've had that's if you know somebody in one of those groups that might be interested, Martha, I think that would be a great fit.
Campbell Creek Science Center, have they ever been asked?
We don't have any connections there that we've asked before, but also if anyone has a connection there, that would be a great fit as well. Those are both great suggestions. And I think it's totally appropriate for each of you individually as board members. It is not a violation of open meetings or protocol for any of you individually to say, hey, would you be interested in being on our board? I think you'd be great. You're just encouraging somebody to put their name forward. Are there any other organizations we work closely with that we might want to consider, Sylvia? Do you have any ideas, or do any of you have any ideas on just...
I don't, I was not prepared to attend this meeting. I'm so sorry. I don't have any suggestions at this time.
Keep calling on you anyway.
I know a couple of people at the Boys and Girls Club, and I know a lot of our students go there. I don't know if they have interest, but they might know someone who has interest, so I'll probably be reaching out to them.
What I think I know a couple people at like the USGS. Would you be interested in them, or maybe like on the federal side of, land management and the stuff up here too? I'll ask around.
We had a parent one time that worked for USGS, Charlie Palmer. And so he kind of represented both a parent view and that view. Brought a lot to the table.
Okay. Next item, finalizing bylaws work session date, poll results. Adam or Martha.
I sent the poll and let me just pull it up again. I thought it was January 17th. 57% of the respondents said January 17th worked best for them. And since Andrew Nell's going to be leading that and she's not here, is she back? When does she come back?
Bless you. I don't know.
She'll be back by then. I don't know the exact date that she returns though.
Okay.
Might not give her much time, but
yeah,
she will be back.
The responses, she did respond. Let me see if I can find her exact response. 1 second.
Grace, I see your finger.
Where is it gonna be located? Will we be doing that at STrEAM?
I thought you were hosting it at the Fab Lab.
Could be a possibility. I could
I mean,
check
we can-
into it.
We can always do it at STrEAM, but I don't know. It'd be kind of cool if somebody else had a venue. I mean, not to put you on the spot, but
Yeah. I will look into it.
Andrew Nell's response was for the 24th.
Ooh.
And it looks like the 24th actually got the lowest number of responses. So should we stick with the 17th and wait until our facilitator says that works for her?
Do we need to make a vote on that?
Yeah,
does it just-
no, because it's a non-action item, but I mean, the purpose of it, remind me, we're just refreshing our bylaws and getting them ready, and it's a working session, right? So it's not the total of the board, it's just volunteered members of the board, is that correct? Adam or Sylvia, Martha, anybody?
Like a committee?
Yeah, committee. Then I would say that we don't have to finalize it in this meeting, that the committee can, not in violation of Open Meetings Act, make its meeting, what works for its agenda. And then no decisions are actually being finalized. That's all happening in a board meeting. So that can just happen by email for scheduling and location, and it can all come together. If she's facilitating it, she didn't choose the 17th, I can feel like picking the 17th might be a problem. So, that's my two thoughts. I don't know about anybody else, if anyone else wants to add to it.
is somebody going to email Andronell and ask her?
I can, since I did the poll.
Okay, and I'll just, whatever you guys want to do for that work session, I'll make it work and I'll be there. So it's totally fine with me, whatever your date you all decide.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Adam, and everybody else. Working session agenda or building, actually, do we have anything for a working session agenda? There's nothing in there, so skip that for this week. Anyone have anything for the good of the order? Zoom bingo. Sylvia, anything for the good of the order? No? Martha? No?
Actually, I do have a question. Does Andrew Nell still have, because I'm trying to write the email, and my first email that pops up to her is an ASB email. Is that one not valid anymore?
She still has that, but she has another email I'll forward you here shortly. She has a personal, it's like missbrown@gmail.com or something. I can forward
Okay.
that just to you.
I have that one. That's the one she used to respond to the poll. So I'll just email that one then.
Yeah, I think she's just checking that more than the ASD email.
Okay.
Ms. Wilson, anything for the good of the order?
No, I don't have anything.
Matthew?
No.
Adam? Kim?
I've got nothing.
Grace? No?
Nothing for me.
Leah?
I just want to let you guys know, as of now, I have the 17th and 24th open. If we do need a location for the meeting, I don't mind hosting it here at the hotel. But we do have a conference room that we could use there.
So Only thing I have is I wanted to apologize for getting tied up in November due to the last snowstorms and unable to make the meeting. And so Matthew, Kim, Leah, welcome to APSC. Thank you very much for volunteering and stepping up. You know, in today's age, it's always amazing to see the amount of people that care, but the amount of people that show up to do the work is always much less. And so it really is heroic that when people do that. So thank you for your time and your effort. That is appreciated. Sylvia.
The new members of the board that don't yet have an ASD email, we need you to fill out a form, and I can get a form sent to you guys.
Cool beans. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 10th. At the same time, not Zoom, but Zoom could be an option. But we typically try to meet in person at the academy at the academy. So we look forward to seeing everyone in person there. And we usually wrap up the last couple of minutes of our working session with a running through and making sure that the items for the agenda are necessary, so are added. So Adam, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. We don't need to swear in Kim Westfall. So this is a chance for the board to have an initial, let's make sure the agenda is right for January. Started doing this a while back. It works pretty well. Sylvia, I just created this. I couldn't find it if we had already created it. So I just did this as a create a copy. This is new. We don't need to do election of officers. We don't need to do approval of budgets. Do we have action items we just talked about tonight that need to be on this agenda?
A nomination for replacing Aaron's seat or appointment.
And what's in your principal's report? It said we needed to approve the lease agreement.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I knew there was something. Yes, that is a big one. In fact, it's. Okay, so yeah, I'll send that lease out for you all to review. And Jeff, I need a physical signature from you on the budget, and then I'll need a physical signature from you on the lease. You just need to sign the cover page of the budget. It's called the bid for ASD, the budget and development. We can talk after or whatever. I can chase you down, but I need to get you to sign that when you have a second.
If you, I mean, are they essentially ready to go? You just need me to stop by when school's open and sign?
Yep. I already have the page printed out. It's just the cover page of the budget that goes to ASD. So yeah, you can pop in anytime and just sign your name.
Okay. And
Does
Sylvie, one more time, thank you so very much for the last time I drove in and you ran out and had to get the signature. That was a lifesaver for me that afternoon. Thank you so much.
Grace, is there something on this January agenda for most likely to succeed?
Yeah, can you add it to non-action items? I think it'll just be like final updates on what's going on, and we were gonna ask the board to bring cookies if you're gonna be there. So but I'll update at the January meeting, because it'll be fresher in everyone's mind.
And Grace, that's because we moved the date to when?
I was gonna ask Adam about that at our meeting, and because I didn't receive confirmation yet about moving it to February, so I didn't want to bring it up. Are we moving it to February? I'm good
would-
either way.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Does anyone know our February date off the top of their head? I could look it up, but
No.
Ooh,
14th.
14th. Okay.
and I think we were,
Oh, we're that's a day of significance being Valentine's Day.
we talked about that. Yeah.
Wait, is that the board meeting? Yeah.
Oh, so that means you guys are all going to bring me flowers and chocolates, right? It's Valentine's Day. I'm your only employee.
You're not their true love, though.
Close enough. All right. I think unless the board has any other direction for me on the January agenda, I think I have the January agenda set.
Anyone seeing any motion or note? Hearing none, seeing none. I think we're good to go. Can I have a well, are there any items that need to be tabled for future discussion? I didn't hear any in this meeting. Seeing none and no talking. Then I'm gonna go ahead and ask for a motion to wrap up tonight's meeting.
This is Kim. I motion to adjourn.
Second.